I think there was another 4 cases diagnosed in 1910 or 1911. And then, by the 1940s, there was several hundred cases. And, today there's, as of about 2020, I think there was 55 million cases of either Alzheimer's or dementia in the world, and another 10 million cases per year added. This is a new case of Alzheimer's or dementia every 3 seconds. But the one thing that's our genetics haven't changed, right? And they've not changed at all in a century. But what's changed drastically is our diet, and the main thing that's changed is the vegetable oils.
Yeah, so it sounds like, I was just reading a paper by Bob Lustig and some other people, and they go over the concept of obesogens. And what they did was they compared and contrast various different models that people have used to explain how metabolic dysfunction and things like diabetes and obesity arise. And, there's the energy balance molecule, which basically just says the more calories you eat, the bigger you're going to get energy in, energy out. There's the carbohydrate insulin model, which is the classic model of how things like carbohydrates and sugars raise insulin levels and cause insulin resistance. And they sort of say that they don't really like those two models very much. And they have a model that combines the obesogen model, and an obesogen is just things that we eat which cause metabolic problems. And then there's the sort of reduction oxidation model. And basically what they come to is they say, we think that a lot of the metabolic problems we're having today is that we're eating obesogens that are having their obesogenic effect in large part through changing things like the levels of oxidative stress that our cells are exposed to. And if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds at least directionally like you would have basically that viewpoint.
Well, yeah, I guess again, I would say that the primary obesogen would be seed oils. That would be it. There's a lot of concern about many other obesogens, and everything from stress, lack of sleep, various endocrine disruptors, for example, like plastics.
Yep.
Right. And but interestingly, the top 5 most obese and diabetic nations in the world are all South Pacific Island countries. And these countries, we were just down there evaluating their food supply. I'm going to stop this screen share if that's okay. We can come back to it anytime, but we were just there in October and November, evaluating the food supply and some ancestrally living populations down there. But for example, what we found in Samoa, which is, I think, about number 2 or 3 most obese and diabetic nation in the world, their total obesity, overweight and obesity is about 90%, and diabetes is almost 30% in adults. So it's just outrageously high. And what we discovered was that they're consuming our oils primarily. Their traditional oil or food was coconut oil. Much of their diet came from coconuts, and they would make coconut cream. They didn't actually make the oil, but the coconut cream is where you get all the coconut fat. That's the coconut oil, right? It just hasn't been removed directly from the cream.